Can you tell what we're going to be showing you today based on what we're wearing?
I love fall.
I don't.
It's my favorite. I love the colors and I even love the weather. I love everything and pumpkin spice. Like, I'm that person.
You are that person. I love the colors because I wear the colors really well. Like that color is gorgeous on you.
Thank you.
I can wear that color pretty well. I wear the oranges really well.
That's a great shirt.
And the reds and stuff. And so I like fall for that. But fall to me is just a reminder that winter's coming.
Oh, it's true, but fall is like all the good things of winter with none of the bad.
That's interesting.
Right? Because you still have, like, you can wear the fuzzy socks and cuddle under a blanket and read a book and have your tea and like it still has that feeling, but like it's not minus 40.
And there are still some days where you can tan and sit on your deck, because I've been driving my son to school because he's playing volleyball and he has practice in the mornings. He gets up so that he can be at the school for 7 in the morning to go play volleyball.
That's dedication.
That is dedication. So then this one has to get up so that he can play volleyball at 7 in the morning. That's fine. But because I've been driving him, I've been noticing the trees.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
Along the way, and from the beginning of the week even to the end of the week. I said to my husband yesterday when we were driving through that area, and I'm like, the trees have changed so much in this week.
Yes, they have.
And it just makes me sad. But I will tell you something. If you're a farm kid, you understand. There is a nostalgia about fall because I grew up on a farm in northern Alberta, and we had grain and we had cattle, and there is something about fall and seeing the combines out and seeing the trucks out. And I remember my mom having a shallow box, so maybe it was like a peach box, where she would make supper for us, but then she would package up Dad's, and he was in the combine. And so she had a mason jar with milk because it had a lid. She took 2 metal pie plates, so she would make the meal and then cover it with the other pie plate. We would get in the truck and we would drive down to the combine. He would stop because, if my brothers weren't home, nobody could just jump in and do the combining. And we would have a tailgate picnic. And if you're a farm kid, you sit on the tailgate of the truck and you get to eat this. You watch your dad eat, basically. Sometimes we would take our food too, but usually we ate at the house and then took it down, and we would hang out with my mom and my dad, and we would just have a love, and daily, because
it's very sweet.
So there is a nostalgia about fall for me that makes me feel very good. The smell of harvest, which, it only comes once a year. Stuff like that. And my husband is also a farm kid, so we are very happy people this time of year because, we see the farmers out in the fields, and we just love that kind of stuff. And we don't farm, but it's close to our hearts. And so for me, the best thing about fall is the nostalgia. I
just love it all. And the foods, like the flavors, and you've got your apples and your apple crisp, and your like in the late garden stuff coming in, and it's just all so nice. But I know, nice. I know that not everyone loves fall, and I feel for you.
It's okay. Well, I was even thinking this morning, I'm like, well, after we film today, maybe I'll have time to go dig my potatoes.
See? Because it's a nice fall thing, right?
Yeah.
She's like, no.
I wasn't going to even plant any this year. My husband made me. He should dig them.
Totally. He should dig them.
He's going to dig potatoes.
He wanted to plant them?
Yes. Okay, I'm just going to make my husband dig potatoes this afternoon.
You just sit there with your tea and fuzzy socks and blanket.
Because it's a little
windy
out today. It's not all that nice. It's a glimpse of what's coming, and it kind of makes me sad. And I'm glad you're happy, and I'm glad we're doing fall meals today, and I get to wear this awesome sweater. But
we have so many
great
meals in store for you. It was hard to narrow it down, and this actually, I could have done more. I could have done an entire video on just fall soups because
we have enough
so much.
And they're so good.
I'm not promising there won't be one because I'm very tempted to do a video on fall soups. Let us know in the comments if you want that.
When we were looking at the list, I was thinking, I'm like, there's a few missing from there that I really thought would be on there, and they were both soups. So
exactly, right?
Yeah, we can do fall soups.
Yeah. But we have awesome recipes for you today. One of them is nostalgic for me, kind of like your farm kid story, except I wasn't a farm kid, but you know, dating back to my grandma and all of that stuff. So we've got lots of good stuff in store for you today. So let's get to the first meal and you'll see what we mean. I love to have waffles in the morning. We have an amazing buttermilk waffle recipe that we make all the time. We also have a lemon ricotta waffle recipe that we made for Mother's Day last year. That was so good. You can find both of those in the club and the link for that is down below. Yeah, now those don't really fit. Lemon ricotta just doesn't scream fall.
No.
But pumpkin waffles.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, they do.
So today we are going to show you how to make pumpkin spice waffles. In a bowl, you are going to mix together 3 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 tablespoons of pumpkin pie spice. However, I really feel that pumpkin pie spice is another one of those things that you maybe want to measure with your heart. So for me, I'm doing more than 2 tablespoons of pumpkin pie spice. Just being very generous with that. And a little bit of salt. Then in another bowl, we're gonna whisk together some pumpkin puree, eggs, melted butter, brown sugar, milk, and a little bit of vanilla. You're gonna pour those wet ingredients into your dry ingredients. You wanna make a little well in your dry ingredients just to, I don't really know why, but that's what the recipes tell you to do. So Christy probably knows because she's more of a baker than I am. Anyway, you're gonna mix that until it's just combined, and then it's gonna get really good because you're gonna take out your waffle maker, and I have this awesome waffle maker that makes 4 waffles at a time, and each one is about the size of a piece of bread, so they fit beautifully in your toaster when you want to reheat these. Anyway, we're going to cook these in the waffle maker. Take them out and we're going to lay them in a single layer on a cookie sheet. This step is super important because you're gonna put that in your freezer and you're gonna freeze them flat so that once you add them to your freezer bag, they won't stick together. And that enables you to take out one at a time and reheat them by putting them in your toaster. If you want, you could do them in the microwave, but then they won't have the crunch, so I really suggest you use the toaster. I think these would be so good with like a maple whipped cream.
Oh, yes, they would. And I would go as far as to sprinkle chopped pecans or walnuts on it.
Yeah, I'm so excited for these.
Years ago, my sister-in-law, she's a dentist, she received a gift basket at Christmas. I don't think it was from a patient, I think it was from a vendor. And it had all kinds of things. And one of them was a pumpkin spice syrup. And you could put it in your coffee, you could put it on your waffles, you could put it kind of anywhere that you would normally use syrup, but that's what it was. And so we would still make regular waffles or pancakes and then use the pumpkin spice syrup, but I think you could even double up here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too much.
I don't know that there is ever too much pumpkin pie spice.
No.
So I am very excited for this one.
I'm excited for you too. I'm excited for me. These are going to be good. I know they are. This next recipe says fall all over it. It is sweet potato soup. In our bag, we're going to add 4 cups of sweet potato that have been peeled and diced. We're going to add in some onions, some minced garlic. Now we use garlic from a jar. We find that we go through it quickly enough that it is totally worth it to do it from a jar. We buy the big one from Costco and we can just use a spoon and it is so good. We're going to add in celery. Now this one goes to Christy's house because Charlotte is allergic to celery, so we know that it is mine. Also in the bag, we are going to add paprika, turmeric, cinnamon, cayenne, and a bay leaf. Now turmeric has immense health benefits. There is something in it that is really good for you. What is it called, Charlotte? I never say it right.
Curcumin.
Curcumin. It's got curcumin in it. You should get more curcumin in your life with this soup. We're going to add in our vegetable broth. and some chickpeas that have been drained, some diced red pepper, some soy sauce, some diced tomatoes. Now you can use half of a 28-ounce can, which means that this is a really great one to double. Then you can use your whole can. We're going to get all the air out. We're going to seal up our bag and freeze it. On the day of cooking, we are going to let it thaw. We are going to bring it up to a boil, drop it back down to a simmer for 20 minutes, and let everything meld together for flavors. Let the sweet potato get nice and soft, and we can add in a 1/4 cup of fresh basil that's been chopped. Now, we have had a chance to try this one, and it is so good. You are going to love this soup. If you are new here, I'm Christy, and this is Charla. We're neighbors. We've been making freezer meals for over 11 years. We've been doing it a long time. Every 3 months we get together and we make over 100 freezer meals, and then we divide them up. We'll put a video there. We've got lots of videos of these big mega sessions that we do. But in the meantime, we'd like you to take bite-sized pieces of freezer meals, and then we just show you little clips. So this one has a theme, it's fall, but if you wanted to make freezer meals for yourself, we would encourage you to check down below. There's gonna be a link there for the Freezer Meals 101 Club. And what that is this wonderful brainchild that Charlotte came up with because we want freezer meals for everybody. And there's a lot of work. Where do you even start? How do you start making freezer meals? Mostly we tell people to just double your dinner. Make one and eat it and freeze the other one and have it later. But if you want to go a little bit bigger than that, you want to look at the club. And here's why. In the club, there's over 200 recipes. I think we're
250.
Over 250 recipes. It has filters, so you can pick by protein. You could pick by appliance, like how you're going to cook it with your slow cooker or your oven or the skillet or your barbecue. You can
air fryer.
Your
or
air
your
fryer. You
Yeah.
can pick by keyword. Are we looking for keto? Are we looking for comfort food? Are we looking for kid friendly? There are all these options that you can filter by, and you can make a meal plan with the recipes that you choose. And then here's the even better part. It will do all the work for you. It will tell you a shopping list of exactly what you need. Now, suppose you have a bigger family and some of these recipes you want to bump up a little bit, you can change the serving size and your shopping list will adjust. And it will also give you a prep list. So you can go get your groceries, do a little bit of prep, because it just is laid right out there for you of what prep you need to do. You do some assembly and get them in your freezer. And here's even better, we have labels for you. We have printable labels that you can just put right on there. It gives you the cooking instructions, and then you can gift them if you need to. Your kids can cook them. Anybody in your family can cook them if they can run a stove or an oven. And it really makes your life better. We have been living like this for over 11 years, where we almost always have freezer meals in our freezer. We can shop from our freezer. We can just wake up in the morning and say, yes, I'm gonna have mustard, lemon, pepper, chicken tonight. That isn't really a recipe I combined two because they're my
Yes,
favorite
you
ones.
did.
and that's okay. And bam, it's there. Or you need a full meal, or you need something for the slow cooker because you have appointments all day and you want to come home to have it cooked before you go to soccer so your kids aren't eating granola bars in the back seat. All that to say, it's right there at the touch of your fingertips, and please check it out.
This gnocchi sausage skillet is a fairly new recipe for us, and I think it's the first time that we're sharing it with you. Into your large freezer bag, you're going to add some Italian sausage that's been already browned, some potato gnocchi. Now you want to get the kind that is in the deli area or the refrigerated section. You don't want to get the shelf-stable potato gnocchi because then you would have to boil it to get it ready for this. So we're just using the potato gnocchi that is fresh and ready. Then some chopped onion, minced garlic, and then some diced tomatoes. Now this is another one that you can use half a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. So you could double it, or you could use half in that sweet potato soup and half in this. Then you're gonna add some chicken broth, pepper, and basil. That's everything that's going in your large freezer bag. So you can, give that a squish to mix everything around, and then get out your excess air, seal it, and then you're going to put some shredded mozzarella and shredded Parmesan in a quart-sized freezer bag and seal that, and you're gonna staple the bags together above the seal and freeze this. On the day you go to make this, you're just gonna pour the contents of your large bag into a skillet on medium-high. You're gonna cover it and cook it for 5 to 6 minutes. Yes, I said 5 to 6 minutes. It's so fast. Then if you want to, you can stir in some spinach until the spinach is wilted, and then top it with some cheese. Cover it for another 3 to 5 minutes to allow the cheeses to melt, and serve it. This is a complete meal, and it cooks in around 10 minutes. So if you want to have dinner on the table fast, this one is for you. And it's so hearty, and you know, with the green of the spinach and the colors of the sausage, it's got like fall colors, fall flavors. And our family tried this when we were in the mountains about a month ago, and it did not last. We weren't even there with our whole family. There were 4 people, so there were 6 of us there. We had like 4 kids with us, and it was gone. Like immediately gone. And I think one of our sons might have been at work that day because he was working in the mountains at the time. And so I think there might have only been 5 of us eating this.
Wow.
And it was just gone. It's so good. So it's going in the regular rotation for
It will
us.
go in the rotation, and it will probably be one that if everybody's home, you would take out both bags.
Yes.
We usually make, when we do our big sessions, we make 4 of each bag, and then, or of each meal, and then we divide them. So we each go home with 2. So yes, sometimes if you have extra people, or you know that it's a favorite,
Or if you have a supersized family.
or if you have a supersized family. Charlotte has a supersized family. I have a 4-person family, which is pretty regular. But I still think we could probably polish this off too.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. This next recipe sounds like it's not going to be a fall recipe, but I promise you it's going to be a fall recipe. This is Sicilian pasta sauce, and there is a heck of a lot of vegetables happening in here, so it's definitely one you want to get your kids to eat. Now, we start out with our Italian sausage. It's been browned, and you'll notice that we already used the Italian sausage in an earlier recipe with the gnocchi, so it's good to, if you find a sale on sausage, you can keep in mind, oh, I have more than one thing that I could make with the sausage, and so you can kind of start that way to plan your meal plans for freezer meals. We're going to add that into a bag. We're going to add in a minced onion, some sliced mushrooms, diced green pepper, diced red pepper, diced zucchini, some Italian seasoning, oregano, and curry powder. Now here's where we kick it up a notch because we are going to add in butternut squash soup. Now we have a butternut squash soup that's a curried butternut squash soup, and that is what we usually use when we put this in here. And it just adds all these layers of flavor that you wouldn't even imagine. And I promise it doesn't taste too much like butternut squash. It still is gonna taste like pasta sauce. Now, if you don't want to make our butternut squash soup, you can absolutely add in boxed butternut squash soup. We're gonna add in some chunky salsa and some water. And all of that is gonna go in the bag. You're gonna wanna mix it around, get your excess air out because air is the enemy. We're going to seal it up and freeze it. And then on the day of cooking, you want to heat it in a large skillet after thawing, and you want to just bring it to a nice boil, let those onions and other vegetables soften. And in the meantime, you want to cook about 3 cups of penne in another pot and just cook it according to package directions. And then you would serve the sauce over top of the penne once it's cooked. And if you would like, you could sprinkle some Parmesan cheese and red pepper chili flakes because that is Charlotte's favorite way to eat pasta, and I agree. It's really, really good. It's now become a staple in my house to do it that way.
It's the right way.
It's the right way. It's the way.
I mean, you don't have to do it that way if you don't want to, but I feel strongly.
It's true. It's true.
For those of you who've been watching us for a while, you will recognize this kitchen that we're in. This is my kitchen. And we have been, my husband and I moved here, I think it was 16 or 17 years ago. And when we moved in, one of the things we said when we saw the house was like, that backsplash in the kitchen has got to go. And here we are 16 or 17 years later, and the backsplash is the same. The oak cabinets are the same. The kitchen is the same. This metal plug on the island that sticks up and gets in the way of everything is the same. And so this might be one of the last times you see us in this oak kitchen.
That's right. In this 80s extravaganza of a kitchen.
Because we have decided that we're probably never going to do the full like kitchen remodel that we've been sort of dreaming of for years and years. And so there is an expression that you might have heard here, which is done is better than perfect.
It's true.
And
in this case, it's going to be just a bit more of a facelift.
Yes, we're going to update, and one of the reasons really actually is the YouTube channel, because it's hard to film a bright, cheerful video in a really dark kitchen.
Space. Mm-hmm.
And my kitchen, I'm so thankful for it. It's huge. It's like so functional.
It is super functional. There's a reason that we do all the freezer meals here. I have the same era of kitchen.
Yes, you do.
But mine isn't nearly as functional. Mine's a galley, so I have a really long cupboard.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side, where my sink and my dishwasher is, I don't really have a lot of cupboard space, but my long cupboard is a long ways away from anything useful like the stove and the sink. So it isn't really it's really just a pain to make anything there. And I've been dreaming of a different kitchen for a long time too. So buy the club so we can really do the upgrade in our kitchen. But aside from that, it is time. It is time to do it.
It is time to update and get
we want to be inspiring.
Brighter in here. And so I will do a video about the kitchen update, even though, again, it's not like a massive renovation, and we're doing things on a budget, and we're doing things in the way that we can. And it's not just budget for money, it's also budget for time, because not only do we film in this kitchen, but my giant family lives in this kitchen.
Eats in here every single day.
And we've got our 1-year-old grandbaby that lives with us, and he gets into things. And so, not having cupboard doors on for a long time and things like that, like, this is going to get old really quickly. Yeah. So we're gonna do things so that it doesn't take that much time, it doesn't take that much money, but it's going to look very, very different in here one of these times soon. And one of the decisions we made, again, I'll go into more details when I do the renovation reveal whatever video, but we had someone come in and price out what it would be to get new cabinets, and they would be like quite a cheap make of cabinet, and not probably last very long. And from what we've read, they don't last long at all. And it was triple the price of refinishing the solid oak. And we had pretty strong feelings anyway about keeping like solid wood cabinets.
Right. Not only that, the style of your cabinets with the arch and whatnot, this is a traditional style house. Mm-hmm. There's something in keeping with that. If you went with the newer, like with the new cabinets, lots of times you end up going with like the shaker doors, and they're super clean lines and everything, but it also doesn't quite have the same feel.
No, because we live in the country. Mm-hmm. This is a country house, and we'd like to kind of keep that same feel of country.
Right.
And one thing that will go, and I know that some of you will be cheering when you hear this, is, I don't know, but I can barely reach these. Right. So there's some of them that I, like the corner one, that where the counter is in my way and I can't reach it because I'm short. And so I do stand on my tiptoes to open my cupboards.
If you use the handle.
If I use the handle.
Otherwise, we just do this, and then it gets grubby and stuff. So they're gonna move the handles. Fancy.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
A lot of our handles are also broken, not the ones you can see on camera, but from what our view is, a lot of our handles are broken, and some of our hinges and doors are too. The one I'm looking at over here is just, So, we are going to be updating the cabinets and possibly
the countertops.
countertops, and very likely, almost positively, moving the electrical outlet from the top of my island to the sides.
Yes.
We also have already started getting my ceiling fixed because it had two holes, one where the washing machine leaked above us, which was a very small hole and certainly not a big deal, and another one that it was about 4.5 feet long.
It was a much bigger deal.
And maybe 2 feet wide, where the shower had leaked. And those holes were about 10 feet apart from each other. So the kitchen has not been looking great for a while.
Yeah, you can't see that part, but you know, it's getting fixed.
It's
and so
time.
they've been patched, but they're not completely done yet. It's getting better. And it's time.
Yeah.
You're right. It was time.
So there is going to be some projects going on here. So this might be one of the last videos that you see filmed in this 1986 kitchen.
And let's cheer for that because, you know, everybody deserves an upgrade, and you work hard, and this kitchen works hard for you.
This kitchen works hard.
This kitchen works so hard for you, and it does deserve to have a bit of an upgrade. And you're going to be so pleased to have it done. Do you know, on days that we get the freezer stacked, and sometimes you come downstairs and you open it up and you just stare at your freezer because it feels so good?
Yes.
You're going to come downstairs for tea,
Oh.
and you're going to be so tickled
Yes.
that your cupboard is done, that your cupboards are changed. Yeah.
I think this is gonna be really lovely. And like I said, I do appreciate my kitchen. I love my appliances. I'm not changing anything like that. I'm so aware that compared to most people, I just have this huge, like, super functional, amazing kitchen. I'm very grateful. And having, 9 of us in our family, like, this kitchen has served us really, really well. But it's time.
It's time. It's time. So we might have a funeral for this sucker. Not much of one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm glad that you get to have that.
And in that video that I do on our kitchen renovation, I'll show you some other unique features, like the place where there was a burn mark on the counter, and so the people before us stuck a giant bamboo cutting board in the middle of the counter just to cover up the burn mark that was quite small, actually. So we've already pried that off.
Yes, and you could see what was under it, and just this little burn mark that they weren't sure what was under it.
No.
And it's too bad, because I think those things can probably be repaired if you look after it right away.
Yes.
And it's always one of those things that you walk in and you're like, why is that there? And we're like, we don't know. Just kind of like, why is that here? Why did they decide
I don't know.
to do that?
We're going to be covering or painting or something that backsplash that we've been talking about doing for 16 or 17 years. So yay!
You can totally paint backsplashes. You can paint tile. It won't last forever. It might scratch eventually, but
we'll see.
We'll see.
We're just in the process. We're also not very handy people, so.
And whatever it will be better than what it is.
Yes. We will take it. We'll take it. And so anyway, that's all. That's really long, just to say that this might be one of the last times. So if you want to have a little funeral for my kitchen,
you just go ahead and do that.
And for my electric outlet here.
Yeah. So back to more recipes.
This next recipe is the one that I was saying earlier is so nostalgic for me, and this is my grandma's pumpkin muffins. I grew up, my grandma made these, then my mom started making them. My mom still makes these sometimes and drops them at our house for the kids because she did it last week and they were gone in 48 hours and she had done a double batch.
My daughter was here, and when she came home, she said there was pumpkin muffins at Charlotte's. And I got to have them and they were so good. And
It's true.
Now there isn't any left, so I'm going to be forced to make some pumpkin muffins, and that's okay. We can make them together.
Yes, because this is one of those recipes that, like, over the years, you know, if someone has a baby and you go bring them some freezer meals, I will often bring them pumpkin muffins as well. And it's a recipe where if somebody eats it once, 100% of those people have asked me for the recipe. Like,
instantly.
yeah.
Well, I know I've asked you. And I've asked you a few times because I lose it and then I want to make them and I ask you again, but now I don't have to because it's in the club.
That's true.
Now you can have them too.
I think the secret to these pumpkin muffins is the butterscotch chips, truly. But I've had people make them with chocolate chips because they say they don't like butterscotch and they love them. So I think you could also make them with white chocolate chips and they would be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like white chocolate chips, but butterscotch really is the star here.
I think so too. And this is something that you might not. I would consider putting nuts in this. I think pumpkin and nuts goes so nicely together.
They totally do. One of our daughters has an anaphylactic tree nut allergy, so we're not going to go there.
No.
No. All right, so into a large bowl, you're going to cream together some sugar and eggs, and then add some vegetable oil and canned pumpkin and mix that really well. Then you're supposed to do the dry ingredients in a separate bowl, but I'm just gonna be honest with you and tell you that I just put them on top. And then when I mix the dry ingredients, I mix them in such a way that they don't grab any of the wet stuff from the bottom. So on top or in a separate bowl, you're gonna put some flour, baking soda, salt, baking powder, and pumpkin pie spice, which is perfect for this time of year. And then you're going to mix the dry ingredients together, and then you're going to combine those wet and dry ingredients and mix it until it's just combined, and then stir in those butterscotch chips. This is one where, as a freezer meal, you're going to bake these before putting them in your freezer. So you want to preheat your oven and fill your muffin tins 3/4 of the way full. Bake them for like 20-25 minutes, depending on how big your muffin tins are. And then you're gonna let them cool before you transfer them to a freezer bag. This is really, really important. If you transfer them to a freezer bag when they're still even just warm, you'll get condensation on the inside of the freezer bag. That will lead to frost and you will be so disappointed because these will not taste the same and they won't hold up as well in the freezer. So you're doing yourself a favor if you wait until they're fully cool before putting them in a freezer bag and then getting the air out, of course, and transfer them into your freezer. Now, here's a little tip. You want to teach your kids when they're fairly young that when they take out something like a single pumpkin muffin or a single pumpkin waffle, that they need to try to get as much air as they can out of the bag before they reseal it. And you want to teach them, of course, to reseal it because otherwise your freezer stuff's gonna go bad.
Yes, it is, and it's gonna smell like everything else in your freezer. Like, freezers have a smell. I don't think they should, but I think they kind of do, and that's part of the reason why.
Yeah, so you just want to be really careful, obviously, that you close the bag, but if you have kids, that's one of those things that you want to teach them. Not that they always are going to listen, because you know, my kids have been taught this for years and years and years, and I still occasionally find a bag that's not fully sealed or that has like giant pocket of air, right?
Yes, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing is somebody in our Facebook group a few weeks ago mentioned, and I don't remember what they were putting. I want to say it was like a notebook or something that they didn't want to get wet, so they put it in a bag, and they took out all the air, and they laughed at themselves because it had become such a habit from doing freezer meals. And they're like, you know, you do too many freezer meals when air is the enemy for your notebook.
Right.
And, you know, it was a big joke. Like, a lot of us do it, and I do it. If I'm using a freezer or any sort of Ziploc bag.
Yeah, I do it too.
I do it too. And it's like, wow, that group of Sharpies are sure going to be really good in that bag when we're camping because I took all the air out.
Ingrained in you, right?
Yeah, it is. This next recipe is one of the stars of our No Fuss sheet pan freezer meal PDF that we have. We have a cooking class and a PDF. There's a link for that down below.
Those are free.
They are free. It is awesome. And it is so fall and it is so flavorful and your house is going to smell so good when you make it. And it's so easy because it literally is just on a sheet pan. So there's only one dish to wash. Yay! So we start out with a smoked garlic sausage or Ukrainian sausage. And we just slice it into rounds. We're going to add in a little bit of sweet potato that's been coarsely cubed after peeling. We're going to add in some butternut squash as well. We're going to add in some coarsely cubed zucchini. Then we're going to add some olive oil, quite a bit of Cajun seasoning, and some salt. And that's it. We're going to mix this around in the bag and freeze it after we're taking out all that air. And on the day of cooking, you literally just thaw it, put it onto a sheet pan. Now, I like to use a parchment paper or maybe some foil. It helps make cleanup a little bit faster. And you're just gonna cook this at 400 for 35 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes, and enjoy. Anybody in your house could make this one because it is so simple. If your kids are old enough to operate an oven independently, supper could be ready before you even get home.
This is a bit of a different one because we're using ground turkey, which we don't use that often, but we're starting to kind of experiment with more ground turkey recipes. And I need to tell you that we are going to be having a video with turkey recipes from leftover turkey. So that won't be ground turkey, but it'll be like your Thanksgiving leftovers and all the things you can do with those turkey leftovers so that you don't end up wasting them or eating turkey sandwiches for weeks.
That's right. And I've been thinking about this chili as well. I kind of think you could use leftover turkey if it was shredded into this instead of this is ground turkey, but I think you could use either or. Really?
I agree.
I don't know why you couldn't. So maybe keep this one in mind for after Thanksgiving when you have that leftover turkey.
So this is our turkey pumpkin chili. You're going to add into your bag your turkey that has been cooked up already, and then some onion, diced green pepper, red pepper, some minced jalapeno. If you don't like spicy things, then you're gonna wanna take the seeds and the ribs out of your jalapeno. I like things spicy, so I leave things as they are. And then some minced garlic, we just use it from a jar again. Some salt, pepper, cinnamon, which adds to this fall flavors in here. Cumin, chili powder, some diced tomatoes, kidney beans that are drained and rinsed, and some pumpkin puree from a can. Now, if you want, you can add vegetable or chicken broth to your bag, or if you prefer, you can make a note on your bag to add those on the day that you go to make this, because we often will add the broth on the day of cooking instead so that our bag stays thinner and takes up less space in our freezers. On the day you go to serve this, you just thaw it and you're gonna cook it up either in your slow cooker or a stovetop pot. It really couldn't be easier. And you've got lots of really good nutrients in here, so it's a full meal.
It totally is. This next meal is Southern style ground beef casserole. This is something that would have been an example of what my mom might have made to take to my dad at harvest. And so when we were talking about fall meals, I said, you know, we have to include something like that. And so this one, and we haven't had it in a long time. I think it's time for us to put it into our regular rotation again because it is so good. And what's extra nice is it's really fast to cook up. So we started with our ground beef that's already been browned and cooled. We're gonna add that into the bag. We are going to add in chopped onion, some chopped green pepper, some corn that's been drained, or it's fall, and if you happen to have corn on the cob that is ready to be peeled off, you can move the corn kernels and add them in here. You can use that. We're going to add in some tomato sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, chili powder, and some salt and pepper. You can put some shredded cheese or shredded Tex-Mex cheese into a medium-sized bag and staple it to the big bag after removing all the air. You want to make sure you staple above the line. We don't want to have any holes and any leaks. And on the day of cooking, you want to thaw this and literally just get it in your skillet and on medium-high heat, cook it until like your onions are soft and maybe your corn is cooked if you used fresh corn, and then sprinkle the cheese on it and bam, this is done. Lots of times we have this with potatoes. It's really nice with rice. It is nice with pasta. You could put any kind of starch with this and it would be delicious. It is just homey and good and warm and healthy.
Sticky chicken is one of my daughter's favorite recipes, and even though it doesn't scream fall, it kind of has fall colors, and for some reason I think of peanut butter as being fall.
Oh,
because
school.
Yes, it's like back to school, and
Sure.
those butterscotch confetti squares, I always used to make them in the fall, and they have peanut butter. And so just for whatever reason, peanut butter is like stuck in my brain as a fall thing. So I get that might not be for you, but we're gonna go with this being a fall recipe because it has peanut butter.
Yeah.
And it definitely has the fall colors. So for your sticky chicken, you're gonna put some boneless, skinless chicken thighs or chicken breasts into a large resealable bag. You're gonna add some olive oil, soy sauce, peanut butter, and ketchup. This is a 5-ingredient recipe, super, super simple, and using mostly things you probably already have in the house other than the chicken. So this is a great one if you find chicken on sale to just whip up that day. You can squish all that together in your bag. We like to think of our bags as our bowls because we can mix things together in there without creating extra dishes for ourselves. So once that is a little bit combined, then you can get the air out, seal it, and freeze it. On the day you go to cook this, you thaw it, and you can cook it in the oven or in the skillet. And you're obviously gonna have to make some sides to go along with this, but it's just a really easy kid-friendly dish provided that your kids can have peanut butter.
Yes, and it is really good, and it's interesting flavors, and I love that it is something that you can just whip up because you probably have those things at home.
Mm-hmm.
It is just, and it's homey.
Yes, it is.
It is homey.
Whether you are like me and you love fall, or like Christy and you're cringing and dreading fall,
I will do it kicking and screaming.
these fall recipes will make fall even better because they are full of amazing fall flavors and harvest things, and they're awesome. So we are really excited for you to try some of these and let us know what you think.
Thanks for joining us today, and we are so glad that you were here.
Happy cooking.
Bye.